out I started making home videos. Then I went up to making school projects. I never forget when I was in high school, like sophomore year, way before people knew I was a filmmaker or made films. I remember being in class and the teacher said we have a project. Actually, going back, my first ever thing I ever did was a talent show. I had to make a commercial for the middle school talent show. That film was shown to the entire school. Very scary for your first film you ever do, or a thing you ever shoot, is something that's going to be shown to the entire school. After that, I graduated to making school projects in high school. I still remember in freshman year, I made my first highlight film. It was a kind of a spoof on Rocky. And that was the early days of what was going to become of me making highlight films down the road. And that was already an early influence of just wait till your junior year. And you weren't going to see what kind of highlight films you're really going to make. Then, of course, sophomore year, I was in school and my teacher said, I do not allow any of my students to make movies for their projects because they all turned out horrible. And I still remember to that day, when I normally never raise my hand in class, I raised my hand and I said, which right there that he's raising his hand, I better answer his question, or whatever he has to say. I said, I want to make a film. And I said, if you don't like my film, okay, I'll never bring up making a film again for any school project. And she said, okay, Matt, I'll let you do it, but I don't have any hopes. I've been teaching a long time, and I have never seen a student make a good film for a school project. Well, I said, well, you never met me, so here we go. And of course, I made the film, and of course the teacher was like, oh my God, you proved me wrong. I go, I tend to do that with people. And then my junior year, I still remember my friend went off to Roswell High School because apparently Milton didn't have any film programs. And they didn't, but that's a whole other story. And I got into making highlight films. Sports highlight films. Football. And from there, it went on from there. I was making highlight film after highlight film after highlight film. Also in the middle of this making school projects. Made one, I remember my senior year, one thing as a junior that I don't really allow my students to make movies for their projects. And one thing that I raised my hand and said, well, I'm here to prove you wrong. Sure enough, the teacher was completely, surprised. So when that second semester came and she said, we have another project, I didn't even have to raise my hand. She said, Matt, I know what you're going to do. You're going to make another film. Just go ahead and do it. And I made a car chase film with guns and everything. And she was like, how did you pull that off? I go, can't tell you my secrets. And then of course I made a lot of highlight films. And that gave me a lot of recognition in this community. I mean, even during the pandemic, I had people come up to me when I went for a walk outside, and they're like, you're the guy who made that highlight film 10 years ago or 12 years ago. I go, yeah, I am. So my highlight film became something very well known around here. And then I went off to college. I went to SCAD. And I made films in college. And once again, I made drama, I made a comedy, I made a sports drama, my senior film, and film has always been a part of my life. But even when I first started making films, one director that I really focused on, Steven Spielberg. To this day, people would say he's the god of filmmaking, the king, the whole kit caboodle, the Babe Ruth of movies. He is the man. And in middle school, I'd be in study hall, and I was there going to the library, come back from the library with a book on Steven Spielberg. And my teacher would be like, that's not educational. And I'm like, to me it is. And I'd be reading books on Steven Spielberg, studying his films, learning the ways of a master at hand. And then, became a filmmaker myself. Learned on my own. I learned how to edit on my own. I didn't take a class. I didn't go to school for it. I learned how to edit on my own. I really learned how to make movies on my own. I was making films before I went off to college. So it's been a whole, whoa. So going to see Steven Spielberg's new movie, The Fabelmans. This was obviously a major movie for me. This is pretty much an autobiographical film of Spielberg growing up, becoming a filmmaker, and the pitfalls of being Jewish and dealing with family issues. And even learning, how much his parents' divorce inspired a lot of his movies, from E.T., Close Encounters, War of the Worlds, even Jurassic Park to a degree, AI. You just see all of it. And there's even a moment in this movie, The Fabelmans, that between the mother and the son, that oh my god, that's right out of AI, artificial intelligence. And this movie is a wonder. If you are a filmmaker, if you love film, this is your kind of movie. Like I said, the movie's called The Fabelmans, meaning you shouldn't call it The Spielbergs. That would just be too on the nose. But it is a movie about Spielberg's life becoming a filmmaker. And it's truly, you see the inspiration of movies like E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Saving Private Ryan, Jaws. The movie that he's really the most known for. And it's really powerful. Just when you see him making these movies, the intelligence, how he came up with creative ideas. Just like I had to come up with creative ideas when I was making my films, my highlight films in high school. Like, how are you going to make these highlight films different from other highlight films? What are you, Matt, going to bring to the table that we've never seen before? Or even when I made my films in college. Okay, you're making a movie about a kid in a hospital. What are you going to do to make this film different than most people? How are you on a low budget going to turn this room, this film studio, into a hospital room that looks legit? It's all up here. And that is what you see as Spielberg. It's all up here. Does he have the greatest and fancy equipment? No. It comes from up here. And that's the most important thing. Even growing up, when people would say, oh, you're using that type of camera, or you're using that type of editing software, or when they realize what kind of editing software I'm using, they go, huh? I go, it's not about the software, it's not about the camera. It's about up here. You don't got it. I got it. I'm sorry. I'm better than you. I know. It must be a shame to think someone like me is better than you at doing this. But it is what it is. And that's where Spielberg, you see it. Not to mention watching this movie, I see so much of a lot of my own life. Parents getting a divorce while I was also in college making films. He was in Boy Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts. Just the pitfalls of certain things. It is a very interesting film. But not only that, but once again, Spielberg and his craft as a filmmaker, letting scenes just play out, breathe, don't rush things. I love it. Michelle Williams plays the mom. Once again, Michelle Williams. This actress can do everything. She is brilliant in this movie. She's fun. She's heartwarming. She is the inspiration for Spielberg to become a filmmaker. She pushes him. Her scene with, like I said, her son, she gets emotional at times. She gives a very powerful performance. Judd Hirsch has one scene in this movie, and my God, it's one of the best scenes of the movie. It's a powerful scene about, you love your family. Yes, they're your family. But then he points to Sam Fabelmans, aka Steven Spielberg, his editing equipment that's sitting on the desk. But he says, but you love that more. You love your family, but you love that more. And I have to tell you, I was watching that moment, I'm like, he's saying that to me. You love your family, but let's be honest, Matt. You love film more. That was you in high school. You cared more about film than running off and playing with your friends. You cared more about film than going to do stuff with the family. That is an accurate. I was watching this powerful scene by Judd Hirsch, who might get an Oscar nomination just for that scene alone. And he's, separating the art from, real life. How do you separate the two? And it's such a powerful scene. Not to mention we got scenes with Paul Dano, who, unlike the mom, which is very interesting in my own life where my parents, one is one way, one is the other, but they both want to see me go all the way, of course, but the different viewpoints to a degree. One is like, yeah, inspirational, do whatever you want, go do it. The other is, it's just a hobby. It's just a hobby. And the Paul Dano's the one that's like, this isn't real, this isn't gonna amount to anything, this is just a hobby. You need to learn how to drive a car so you can drive yourself to school, drive your sisters around, help out. And while this is going on, he's talking about, I need this editing software to edit my films. And with this new editing software, I can really, and the dad is like, where are you going with this? This isn't going to amount to anything. It's just a hobby. You're filming. It's nothing. It's nothing. He's trying to push him in another direction. And I'm watching this going, you know how many conversations I've had with someone about this little film thing here? Just a hobby. Just a hobby. Just a hobby. To the point I'm like, it's not a hobby. This is going to get me somewhere in life. You might not think of it now, but eventually it's going to get me somewhere. What I'm doing right now, and what I've always done, it's not a hobby. No, I'm not making money off of it right now. Right now I'm not. But it's going to get me somewhere. Trust me. And I love those scenes, and I have to give it to Gabriel LaBelle. Gabriel LaBelle plays Sammy Fabelman, the teenage version of Steven Spielberg, and he gives a marvelous performance in this movie. He is serious, he's emotional, he's funny, he is charming, he is determined as a filmmaker. I'm watching this guy, and there are moments that I'm like, that's me. There's a little bit of Matt in there somewhere. And he's a new actor, up and coming actor. Something Spielberg is very well known to do. Find unknown actors and, put them in their movies, his movies. Also, you got like Julia Butters, who plays his sister. Obviously, you'll remember her from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt. She had that great scene with Leo. That was the best performance I have ever seen. If you Leo crying. So, I mean, I love to see the mindset of him making films. Him thinking of the creativity of how to do this. This movie is well edited, pacing. 2.5 hour movie. I was locked in, not only the filmmaking aspect of the film, but the family stuff. The parents slowly drifting away from each other to the point they're getting a divorce. And the sister blaming the mother for the divorce. I was like, oh boy. This movie really hitting home. Wow. So I'm like, and that was all going on for me in my own life. My parents divorced when I was senior year of high school. All through college, so this whole slowly decline in marriage. I was at the height of my filmmaking in high school, senior year, and also in college making films. So it was a really eye-opening experience. Almost like going back and remembering memories. For me, it was like a very, flashback moment. Very cathartic at times, very sad at times, very, but also happy. He's making films, those days. The broken family influenced so many of his movies. That's actually interesting enough, since I've read a lot of books on Spielberg. Growing up, he blamed his father for the divorce. They don't really touch on that in this movie. But then over time he learned I think once he learned the truth about his mother, he forgave his father. Well, that's why when you watch a lot of Spielberg movies, the father is normally the asshole, or the one who leaves the family. Because there was a long time that Spielberg blamed his father for everything. And they don't touch on that in this movie. They kind of go the route of the guy doesn't really care about his filmmaking. He's not as interested as his mother is. But you still see those little moments of what influenced Spielberg in a lot of his movies. Like Schindler's List. The whole Jewish background and how that affected him. Janusz Kaminski, who is the cinematographer who's done most of Spielberg movies going all the way back to The Lost World, Jurassic Park. You got Tony Kushner, who wrote the script for Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis that came out 10 years ago. Very rich dialogue, very strong, powerful storytelling. Even the final scene in this movie is powerful. If you know anything about Spielberg, you're watching this scene and you're going, this is the moment. If you know anything about Spielberg, you're watching going, this is the moment. Where this movie ends, there are going to be people that are going to be like, oh, that's it? But if you know Steven Spielberg and you know his career, and you know what happened after this final scene in the movie, in a lot of ways you're going to be even more, like me, proud, happy, knowing where this guy ends up. Where this guy ends up being in film. It's just it's not even, this is a movie in a lot of ways, a nobody at the time, becoming a somebody. Almost like a Homer Hickam. Spielberg influenced a lot of my filmmaking years. He's a powerful filmmaker. Now, I would say the last couple of movies that Spielberg has made, haven't been a big fan of. Wasn't a fan of West Side Story. Wasn't a fan of The Post. Wasn't a fan of the BFG. But I did like Ready Player One. I like Bridge of Spies with Tom Hanks. But this, even though it is about Spielberg's life, and it's Spielberg directing, this is Spielberg. This is classic Spielberg. You got the family moment, you got the heartwarming moments, touching moments, the inspirational moments, the wow, the wonder. Not in terms of action, but just the wonder of this guy becoming a filmmaker and that journey of becoming a filmmaker. People like me, so many countless filmmakers I know who I went to SCAD with. People I've studied like J.J. Abrams, who was inspired by Steven Spielberg. You know, this is a movie that you should watch. It's a powerful movie. And I think coming from a filmmaker, it's a movie celebrating film, celebrating filmmakers, and celebrating one of the best filmmakers in Hollywood. I would give this movie a 5 out of 5. Maybe I'm being a little biased because it is Steven Spielberg. He's one of my favorite directors. But I highly recommend this movie. If you're a movie goer, this is a movie you should go see. If you love making films, this is your type of movie. Hands down. Because myself as a filmmaker, it's called Evolve. You know, I look back on when I started out making films, when I first picked up a camera, and where I am now. Yes, podcasting, okay. But once again, you look at the evolution. If someone were to stop and look at the evolution of just my film, my career with a camera, don't even talk about film, just with a camera, it's just, you know, boom, 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 boom. Evolution, evolution, evolution. You know, just like Spielberg. I had to teach myself how to film. I had to teach myself how to edit and work at it and get better and better. I knew how to make movies before I went to SCAD. The only thing that SCAD taught me was more about screenwriting, the script process. But the filmmaking, the editing, I knew. And some people might say, and I'll say this, why would someone make a film about their life? It seems, you know, kind of too on the nose, I'll leave you with this, my friends. When I was in college, my intro to screenwriting class, my professor said, I'm going to give you a word of some advice to all of you. You guys are still new. You're fresh. You're like a newborn. You haven't really experienced life. Most of you are just coming out of high school. Which I was only a freshman when I took my intro to screenwriting class my freshman year of college. So I was literally right out of college. Right out of high school. He said, you're new. So I'm going to give you some advice. Don't write what you don't know, because it's going to turn out horrible. Write what you know. And we were like, what do you mean what we know? He said, write what you know. You have a memory, a very good memory, write a story around it. Change the characters' names. Maybe change the setting. But stick with the overall, what happened at that moment, that memory. Maybe you have a bad memory. You want to make a horror film out of it. Make it out of that. But stick to what you know. If you're a sports person, write a sports movie. If you love horror movies and you made a few horror movies, short films, write about it. If you want to make a movie about a vacation, write about a vacation you went on. But write about what you know. As a beginning filmmaker, screenwriting especially, go with that. And that's what I did in college, to be honest. My first film, I wrote about my life pretty much at that time. Essentially, it was an autobiographical film. That was my first film in college. And then my senior film in college, the two things that are in my senior film, football and hospitals. What does Matt know? He spent a lot of time in hospitals, especially throughout college. And what else does he know? He knows football. He made two major, amazing football films in high school. He knows football. He grew up on the football field from the time he was in elementary school. Whether on the sidelines or whether as a water boy, ball boy, just a fan, then to making highlight films, he knows football. He knows hospitals. That was his senior film. My senior film. Write about what you know. And guess what? People really liked my senior film in college. Why? Because I stuck to what I know. So word of advice to all you filmmakers starting out. Stick to what you know. That's what Steven Spielberg did on this movie. It's about his life, but he stuck to what he knew. The stuff that inspired his entire film career. And that's why I give this movie a 5 out of 5. Go see The Fabelmans if you are a movie fan, if you're a filmmaker, if you just love even inspirational movies. This is it. Matt the Mad here.